Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. Today in this little video I'm responding to a request that I got a few weeks ago on doing some rockabilly stuff. So today hopefully I can show you how, like me, you can bluff your way through a bit of a rockabilly solo. Perhaps a little bit like this.
Go on lad, way on!
Okay, that solo there was kind of me trying to take on a bit of a Danny Gatton style of playing. Not that I would compare myself to someone as gifted as him, obviously, but you know, it was my attempt at a stab at that style of playing. There is a full tab for that solo beneath this video in the description box, so if you fancy a challenge, grab a hold of it and give it a go. I was using a number of techniques in that, and we're going to go through all of those today, starting with something called the hybrid scale. We're also going to look at a little bit at the Mixolydian mode, and we're going to be talking about double stops, tritones and chord substitution. So I guess the first thing we need to do is crack straight on with the hybrid scale. Here's all about it. Okay then, the hybrid scale. What's going on here then? Well, this is what you get if you mix two scales together, as the name hybrid suggests. We're going to take the E minor pentatonic, which consists of E, G, A, B and D, which is a standard kind of choice for a bluesy sound over any 12-bar type sequence in the key of E. And we're going to mix in the more country flavoured E major pentatonic, consisting of the notes E, F sharp, G sharp, B and C sharp. We add those two scales together and we get this bunch of notes: E, F sharp, G, G sharp, A, B, C sharp and D, which collectively is known as the hybrid scale. Here we can see a convenient way of playing those notes in and around the open position on the neck of the guitar. It doesn't show every note in each octave, but this tends to be a way that it will typically get used. You can also find other fingerings, see if you can figure them out for yourself. Now you know the notes involved, and hopefully you know the E major pentatonic scale and the E minor pentatonic scale. See if you can figure out some ways of overlapping those to get other fingerings for this scale. Meanwhile, here's the scale in action. Now, if you start looking at the notes that are in that hybrid scale and kind of get a little bit analytical about it, you'll find that there are other scales kind of lurking in there as well, other than the two pentatonics that we began with. For example, if you take the E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp and D, you get something called the Mixolydian mode, which is a great resource for generating very country and rockabilly sounding double stop licks. So here's a little bit of information on how you can do that. Okay, let's begin by taking a look at the Mixolydian mode as it would fit over an E7 chord. And once you get a handle on this, you can then transpose that to fit the other chords in the tune. We begin with the major pentatonic scale in E, which contains the notes of E, F sharp, G sharp, B and C sharp, and here they are mapped out on the top E string of the guitar. Okay, in order to turn this into a Mixolydian mode, we need to add two notes. Basically a fourth, which is an A, and a flat seventh, which is D. And once again, you can see their relative positions to the pentatonic on the neck of the guitar. You now have the E Mixolydian mode. The next thing we do to create some double stops with this is, well, first of all, we're going to arrange it in thirds, which basically means that we pair each note with the third note up from it. So E gets paired up with G sharp, F sharp gets paired up with A, G sharp with B, and so on. And then you can start making some runs out of that, like this. Okay, the next set of double stops we're going to look at is sixths, and it's the same principle. All you do is pair each note in the Mixolydian mode up with the note 6 scale steps above it. So E gets paired up with C sharp, F sharp with D, G sharp with E, and so on and so on. And once again, you can create some runs with that, maybe something a little bit like this. Right, another great double stop type idea other than thirds and sixths that you find in blues, country, rock, rockabilly and many other styles is the tritone. I'll explain a little bit more about what a tritone is in a moment, but you've heard them a million times in various solos and guitar parts. They are a great way of suggesting a kind of tense seventh dominant kind of chord. Here's a little bit of information on how you can do exactly that. Okay, so first of all, what exactly is a tritone? Well, put simply, it's a distance or interval of 6 frets between any two notes. Like here we've got D to G sharp, which are 6 frets apart. It's called a tritone because 1 fret is 1 semitone or half a tone, so 6 of those equals 3 tones or a tritone. And if you look at an E7 chord, for example, you will see that G sharp to D tritone is kind of lurking within the middle of that chord. And the interesting thing is that if you move that G sharp and D tritone down 1 fret, you obviously get G and C sharp, which is still a tritone because everything's moved the same distance. And that G and C sharp tritone can be found lurking within an A7 chord. So simply by taking the shape of G sharp and D, which kind of implies an E7 chord, and moving it down a fret, you're basically implying an A7 chord. Then if you go back to the original G sharp to D tritone, which implies a E7 chord, and move it up 1 fret, then you get an A to D sharp tritone, which you will find lurking within the confines of a B7 chord. So basically, if you take the E7 tritone of G sharp and D, move it down a fret, you can kind of imply an A7 chord, and move it up a fret, you can imply a B7 chord. And here's that shape being moved around in the manner described to create a classic riff that you will hear in many rockabilly tunes, as well as being found in blues and rock tunes too. Now, you probably noticed I was using some of those double stops, those tritone double stops in the Reed Bobby Dazzler solo at the top of this video. So have a look at the tab, go back and have a listen to the video again, or just check out the track on Spotify and see if you can spot where they're coming. And finally today I want to talk about chord substitution. This is, I think, one of the areas where rockabilly does tend to kind of show its links with jazz a little bit. You know, that whole kind of western swing type stuff, you know, Bob Wills and the Texas Playboys, all of that was, you know, kind of informed all of the early rockabilly guitar players. And let's not forget that many of the session musicians who played on all the early rock and roll and rockabilly tracks were seasoned players. They'd been around for, you know, maybe a couple of decades, and they'd cut their teeth playing, guess what, jazz. So, you know, there are links between these styles of music, and this is how you can use a nice little jazz chord substitution technique to play some rockabilly sounding licks. Okay, let's take a plain old common or garden E7 chord. And now I'm going to play it again, but this time I'm going to superimpose a B minor chord on top of it, like this. And that gives us a resulting chord of E ninth, which sounds like this. Or another way of looking at it is that lurking within an E ninth chord there is a B minor chord, and anytime you want to invoke the sound of E ninth over E7, just play B minor. Similarly, if you take the E7 chord again, here it is. And this time, let's play a C sharp minor over the top of it, which would sound like this. The resulting chord this time is an E13th. Now the theory geeks will probably tell you that that's not strictly an E13th chord because it lacks a B note and an F sharp note, which according to the textbook should be there. But those notes contribute little to the overall flavour of the chord, so it's okay to miss them out, to be honest. What you can do here is over an E7 chord, and you can transpose this to fit other chords as the need may arise. Over the E7 chord you can play a B minor to invoke an E ninth sound, and a C sharp minor to invoke a E13th sound, and maybe come up with a little chord substitution part that sounds a little bit like this. So there you have it, folks. That's what I'm thinking of when I'm playing a rockabilly type style. Just make sure you got the sound right. As much as anything else, use a Telecaster. You can't go far wrong with a Tele style guitar for this style of music. Dial in a little bit of slapback echo and you're ready to rock, basically. And that's pretty much it. I'll just mention as well, as I do at the end of all of these videos, that I have a competition running at the moment. If you want to win a fabulous little Black Star Fly 3 practice amp, this thing is absolutely immense sounding. It's about the size of a packet of tea bags and it sounds huge. It's a great little amp. It runs off batteries or it runs off the power supply that's included in the package that I'm giving away. All you've got to do is enter the competition. The link is below this video along with the tab for that solo earlier, and send your entries on to me. And the closing date for the competition is basically when this channel reaches 6,000 subscribers. It's about 5,600 and something at the moment, 5,600 plus change basically. And yeah, as soon as I reach 6,000 subscribers, I'm going to choose what I think is the most entertaining entry to the competition, and that person will get a fantastic little Black Star Fly 3 practice amp. So give it a go, you got nothing to lose. Talking of having nothing to lose, if you would like some tailored one-to-one guitar tuition, then give me a shout via the details at the end of this video. If you live on Teesside in the northeast of England, where today the sun is shining, yes, it does happen occasionally, then you can come along for a face-to-face lesson, or wherever you are in the world, you can have a lesson via Skype. And whichever way you do it, your first lesson is free. Next video I'm going to do will be an update on the whole Zoe's Place Guitars for Good Causes campaign. I'll just give you the headline figure here. We're on course to have raised £1,000 for Zoe's Place. So thank you to everybody who's taken part in that, contributed, shared the link, done anything to help promote it. It really does mean a lot. And yeah, thank you from the bottom of my heart. And with that, I'll bid you all good day. Look forward to seeing you all again next time, and bye for now, folks.